Today in the Twin Cities Business Show, we are talking to Kris Lindahl. We're going to find out a little bit more about the man behind the biggest Billboard campaign in Minnesota history. We're going to hear a little bit more about how the real estate market works and how he deals with all the haters. Welcome to the Twin Cities Business Show. We are here today with Kris Lindahl, who needs no introduction. Kris, welcome to the show.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So, start you off with a tough one. You have to get rid of every single one of your billboards but one. Which one is it and why?
Oh, that's a great question. I think there's a couple spots in the Twin Cities that are sort of iconic. I think the one, that would probably be the one I was like, that's the one that I would hang on to would be above First Avenue.
Okay. Yep.
Downtown. And of course, I think everyone always sees like the buses and the trains and everything that we have there, like that whole intersection of like live events. And when it's really going on, there's a lot of people down there and it feels like Minnesota.
Yeah. I recently learned that billboard saved First Avenue. There was a sign ordinance. They weren't allowed to have it. And the revenue from that saved them during a tough period.
Well, I can tell you that some of these billboards aren't cheap for us on our end. So I can only imagine what the revenue it's bringing in for them.
Yeah. Okay. That's great. I want to ask you about brand and about marketing.
Yeah.
I read through your book and there's this really clear sense, I think, of you as a marketer. You're jumping into SEO, you're jumping into digital stuff. You're like really feeling there's this clear sense that you are trying to stay ahead of the game on what the latest and greatest of marketing is. And I want to sort of think about, you putting yourself at the center of that brand. Was that a conscious decision? When did that happen and how?
Yeah, I mean, that's great. Yeah, I think, marketing is a big piece of what we do. Obviously, I think everyone knows that. It started with this obsessiveness of being a coach first and wanting to connect with more people and wanting to positively impact them. And so marketing is sort of the tool that allows me to connect with more people. Right. I think sometimes people get lost in what marketing actually means. And so we were able to increase our reach by creating the brand that we did. And we did it through, and there's a lot. I mean, I think the term personal brand is being thrown around a lot of different ways now. But having a sort of the core focus of what we've built around me personally, so that I can positively impact more people was the conscious effort that we put together at the beginning. And it's really hard to do. Like it is really hard to do. And I there have been plenty of setbacks along the way, and challenges. But one thing that I always stay true to is everything's a learning opportunity. Right. And so some people say, hey, fail forward, fail fast. And there's all kinds of different thoughts around that. But yeah, everything that happens to us, it's an opportunity for us to learn and grow, and reach more people and positively impact them.
Very interesting. And it feels like, in the last couple of years, the whole personal branding, your face the personal brand thing is only becoming more and more prominent. You have influencer marketing, you have lots of stuff that is emerging. Do you find that, over time, as you've kind of become more prominent, is there a Kris Lindahl the brand and a Kris Lindahl the person, or are they sort of fused together in one?
That's a great question. I think for a lot of people, you mentioned influencers and things like that. I mean, I think there's a lot of influencers that have done amazing things in the world. And I think there's others that have never really built anything other than they're constantly selling products and after views and they are transforming who they are to put on a mask to sort of attract people in. For me, the personal side and the professional side, this is exactly who I am. And it's really natural to who I am, right? And I think that it starts with really the core values and the mission, the purpose of what direction you're on. This doesn't feel like work to me. Like this is my passion. Like I love coaching. I love helping people. Like I love growth. I'm super tenacious. Like I love solving complex problems, and I love moving at a rapid pace. And so that's how I am personally as well as professionally. And so it doesn't feel like work to be inside of the professional setting. It feels like I'm being who I am.
Yeah. I feel like there are a lot of people for whom, having their face on a bunch of billboards or, having a logo of themselves on their own shirts or hats would be very uncomfortable. And it feels like you are very comfortable in that. So, I mean, why do you think that is?
So I think there's a couple different pieces of it. There's the process and the outcome, right? Initially, being on billboards and buses and trains and TV and radio and, seeing heroes everywhere, that was a little uncomfortable for me, right? Growing up in, small town, Fridley, Minnesota, hometown, local. I never thought that, I would really take this direction of being absolutely everywhere. And so with that, as you know, comes, there's we have amazing supporters and a lot of loyal fans that have really helped us grow. But then there's also some naysayers and doubters in comment sections. And sometimes they're writing, things in different publications and things about us. And so that took some adjustment for me. But I think if you detach from the process piece of it and attach to the outcome, and you zoom back out and you go, how many people are we positively impacting each and every day? And that's not only just, home buyers and home sellers. That's our employees. That's people in our communities that we give back to. That's mentoring our youth, right? That's helping nonprofits and other causes. So there's like, when you look at sort of the amount of reach and impact that we have by making the choice to create the brand and to continue to live that each and every day, you're no longer caught up in the process of the day-to-day of building that, and you're evaluating it based on the outcome of all the things that you're doing in the reach.
So put another way, the haters don't matter if the business is growing and you're impacting the community positively.
Yeah. And I think, I think when obviously the word haters is kind of a little bit harsh, I would say, cause I get an opportunity to, from the naysayers and doubters, and by no means have everything that I've ever done be it right. I've learned a lot too, and I'm human, and I've made some mistakes, and I've had to make some adjustments. And, but I think you get to the opportunity to learn and hear someone else's side. And I think in today's world, I think a lot of people are having trouble meeting with someone that doesn't have the same viewpoints as them. And so I respect people that say things about what we should or shouldn't do, or they disagree or think we should take it a different path. And I hear them and I learn from that. And I think we need more of that in the world. Right. And so I think, but yes, you're right. You do need to no one in the world is going to be liked by everyone. Right. There is no possible way that you can make a decision and 100% of the people love that decision that you made. And sometimes they're difficult decisions, especially being a founder of growing brands. I've made a lot of decisions that were very tough decisions. I want to think that I got more of them right than I got wrong, but I've definitely got some of them wrong. And it's impacted people, and we've had to make some adjustments, and we've created some transparency there. So I think we're still human, right? We're still human. And I'm by no means am I here today saying, hey, I bat 1,000 in every decision I've ever made when it comes to branding, marketing, real estate, business, coaching, that I've been right. There's definitely been challenges, but having the conversation with people that disagree with some of the things that maybe we're the path that we're on is okay. I welcome that, because really at the end of the day, in putting yourself out there, you do want to have people care. The minute that you don't have people that care, that means you're irrelevant. And so I honor all those people that do care about what we're doing, and they give us that feedback, because that means that what we're doing is working and we're on the right path.
So what advice would you give to other people who are maybe becoming more prominent, starting to face, the inevitable social media pushback that comes from becoming more prominent? How did you deal with that, and how have you dealt with that?
So it really starts with alignment. You have to make sure that what you're creating aligns with who you are and what you want. Right. And if you create something that you don't really want because you're oh, well, maybe I want to create this because I want to grow the business and I want to make impact, but you don't really want to put yourself out there, you're going to have some challenging conversations with yourself in the near future because when you put yourself out there in today's world, you're out there. Right. And once you're out there, there's sort of no going back. Right. And so you have to make sure that you are crystal clear on your mission and the path that you're headed on. Because once it starts, you're all in. Yeah. You're all in, and it's not for everyone, right? It is not for everyone, and you got to have thick skin. But you also have to get for me, I get recharged by the positive stories and the impact that we've made, and the coaching and helping people develop and grow. I live for that. I am naturally born coach. Like that is exactly that's why I have education degrees. Why I was going to be a teacher. Like I live for watching people grow and helping them get to that next chapter of life and that fresh start. Like it's what I live for, and I'm passionate about it. And you can see that in everything that I do. Because otherwise, if that's not connected that way, and I don't get energy from that, at some point you wake up and go, I no longer love what I do. Right. And so like every day this gets me charged up. I love talking about it. I love connecting with people. Like it's exciting to me.
So, I want to dig into sort of the fundamentals of how the real estate business works. So, as a listing agent, how do you make money?
Yeah, great question. So I think before I answer that question, the way that the real estate industry worked before and the way that the real estate industry is going to work moving where it's at today and moving forward is very different, right? So a listing agent historically had been paid and negotiated a commission with a seller, maybe even potentially at times a buyer, right? Depending on the structure of the deal. And obviously all those are negotiable and those are handled between, listing brokerages essentially and homeowners or home buyers. So that's essentially how like most real estate revenue had worked in the past.
And what was that typical commission? I mean, give me an average.
It varies. I mean, you've seen, flat fee, places that are charging very little and very luxury, highly customized boutique spots that are charging significant amount of commission. You could have places charging, 1% or less, and you can have places that are charging, 4 to 7 to 8%. I mean, over the nearly 20 years here, I've seen companies charging commissions, all across the board. And in those commissions are different types of packages that ultimately homeowners and home buyers get to decide if that's the service that they want to align with.
Mm-hmm. So then moving forward, things are changing.
Things are changing in a very big way. I mean, I think you see this. I mean, I think the best example I have of this is trading in your car, right? And look at what Carvana's done to the automotive industry, right? By no means have they taken 100% of the market share, but they definitely have pushed a lot of dealerships to get way more innovative on delivering cars and picking up cars and grabbing keys. And I think, when you look back at COVID, one of the things that really changed was the pressure on convenience, right? And the push button sort of economy of I want to hit this button and I want to get groceries and I want to get food. Or, I mean, think about Amazon and the amount of packages you drive around. Look at all the Amazon trucks. Like people are willing to spend more in exchange for convenience. Like you're seeing it everywhere. Like, I mean, it's the $40, $50 cheeseburger and fries that gets delivered that is maybe even slightly cold by the time it gets to the house, right, rather than get in the car and go to the restaurant and sit down. Like, so patterns are changing in its options, and options are good for consumers because I believe that they should get to decide what path that they're on. And so when you think about real estate, one of the most excruciating things that a consumer goes through is getting their house ready to sell and putting on the market. And you think about a home and how intimate that setting is of it's where you sleep, it's where you eat, it's probably the memories and things that you've had along the way. And now you decide that you get your house ready and you're going to Lowe's, Home Depot, Menards, and you're probably going online. You might be watching shows trying to figure out like, how do I get my house ready? How do I stage it? You're interviewing real estate agents. You're negotiating with them. You probably know 4 that are your friends that you're not so sure you're comfortable with. And it's a very taxing process. And then you finally get to the day of going on the market. And in an environment that we're in today, which is very volatile you look at the headlines. I mean, as of right now, as we're having this conversation, I mean, you got auto loan defaults at an all-time high, student loan defaults are right there, credit card defaults were at all-time high. Like all of these things are playing a role in squeezing a buyer and what they can afford on the open market. And so it's not a sure bet that when a homeowner goes on the market that their house is going to sell. And so that days on market is extending. And so all the pre-work is done. And now there's the in the game work, which is you're on the market and it's not working. Like, agents are showing the house and the offers are, maybe if you do get offers, they might be low or no offers, or you've got to do price reductions or more open houses. And so you're in flux, right? And that is super stressful. And so like arguably I've sat at the kitchen table with thousands and thousands of homeowners, more than most real estate agents will ever sit at in their entire career. And I learned some things along the way. And so back to the sort of the earlier in the conversation that we've been having, that coach and that positive impact piece of it, it didn't take me very long of listening to these conversations that most homeowners don't like this. It's super stressful. And you look at most surveys, when they survey people, it's like death, divorce, and like selling a house are like the top 3 usually of most stressful things that people go through in their life. And so as I looked at that, I'm like, there's got to be a better way. And the reason why it hasn't been very popular, and just quite frankly, being totally transparent, is it's really expensive, right? To have people trading in, $2, $3, $4, $5, $600,000 houses is very expensive for a business and a brand to absorb and essentially take all of that risk. But I think what you're seeing in today's environment is that a lot of people aren't wanting to expose themselves and their house to the open market in that process. And they'd rather have the peace of mind of click the button, get the convenience, trade in the house, and move on with their life. And so that's where hey, I'm going to sit down and show you all the marketing plans and all the staging, all the repairs and all the moving things you could do and all these things. And you're going to get the house ready for the next 6 to 12 months. And then you're going to be ready to go on the open market. And by the way, then I have to tell you hey, by the way, the pricing strategy we talked about when you first started getting ready, now that's a different number now. It's changed, right? And so you've done all this work and it's slightly a sinking ship, right? Because you thought the number was this and it's going down while you're doing work. So you're adding more into the house to get it ready and your number's changing by the time you get there. And then you might go on the market and it might not successfully work. And so I think you're going to see more and more people that will want to trade in their house as time goes on, especially with, I think, how uncertain things are now. I mean, mortgage rates and the 10-year bond are all over the place, right? And rates are, as the time we're talking about this today, I mean, rates have been on the rise again. And, there's the global conflicts and there's the consumer confidence is people are really uneasy. And when people are uneasy, buyers start to get a little bit scared. And I don't think a lot of buyers are making enough money to buy a home today. I mean, you look at the percentage of buyers that are borrowing money from family to be able to purchase a house. Like the reality is inflation and all the things that we're going through and gas prices are getting too expensive for most people. And so in this type of environment, homeowners want certainty and they want the peace of mind that they can move on and they don't want to be stuck. And so that's where I think the times are changing, right? Listen, I'm not here saying 100% of the people are going to call Kris Lindahl and trade in their house to us, right? We believe in options and we could help people on the open market. But when we sit down and we meet with homeowners, I'm telling you right now that there is a market signal and an industry signal that is happening that more and more consumers and homeowners are deciding it's not worth it. I don't want to go pay the commissions. I don't want to negotiate the closing costs. I don't want to have open houses. I don't want to have the neighbors here. I sleep in this house. I live in this house. I don't want people looking in the cupboards. I don't want people walking in my backyard, in my garage, in my kitchen, questioning what is going on here. Or there's a life-change event where I just want to sell discreetly and I want the moving truck to show up and I'm gone. I want to be done with this. Right. And you're just seeing more and more of that because you think about it, it's really a strange process where it's like being in a home is such an intimate thing, right? It really is. And now you're having strangers that, by the way, there's no background checks. There's no sort of check of who's coming in your house and what's going to happen.
So that's how the guaranteed cash offer works, is that you're buying houses directly from people, preparing them and then selling them.
That's right. Yeah. And I think we underwrite the property each time to determine what, strategy we want to move forward with. But it's as simple as someone calls us, someone goes to our website and we show up and we give them money for their house.
So how do you finance all of that?
So we've grown I think the fortunate thing is we've grown our brand for nearly 20 years. And so it's all in-house. It's all done in-house. People online say we've got outside investors. There are no outside investors. So everyone knows it is all done internally inside of our company, which gives us flexibility. Now, has it been challenging to build? Nearly 20 years ago, we bootstrapped this entire thing and reinvested. And we're fortunate to have a lot of help in the community of people that are big advocates of ours. And so we get a lot of referrals. We get a lot of people that really love what we're doing and that are raving fans, which helps a lot. But everything is done internally.
How many houses are you guys holding at any given time?
It's hundreds and it's going to be approaching thousands here soon.
Thousands of houses.
Yes. Yeah. We are increasing significantly because you've got sort of a trend in the world, which is basically, if I could summarize this for you, this is the best way I could summarize it. At the end of the day, a homeowner has a decision to make. Besides the convenience, what they get to decide is, do they want to take the risk on where the economy's at and where it's going and the open market, or do they want us to? Mm-hmm. And I think in today's world, with everything going on, I think a lot of people are watching the headlines and everything else. More and more homeowners are not comfortable with the gamble. Now, of course, I will tell you, full transparency, we lose on a decent amount of houses.
Like
this
how
is
many?
a lot, a lot.
25%?
I don't know the exact number today, but it is a lot, right? So it is a lot because we give really competitive, strong offers, and people see our commercials, which are, by the way, with real people and real stories holding big red checks. Those are the actual checks with the actual homeowners that went through that process, and there are plenty of them because the market is not very good. Right. And it doesn't look like it's going to get any better. And so we're taking that risk. But the reason why we do it is it's a service to homeowners and it's a long-term commitment that we've made. We fundamentally believe that the traditional open market process is broken. We understand that some people want to still try that and attempt that. But we believe that like the future is more and more people are like, let's just trade in the house and move on.
Right. But the thing that is, so you think the market's not very good right now.
Right.
That feels like a good place to be if you were a buyer. It feels like not a great place to be if you have thousands of homes.
Right.
How
That's
do you
right.
square that?
That's right. So, but keep in mind, like we get the benefit of economies of scale, right? So we have we own everything in house, right? So we're able to get, way better deals on construction materials, our labor. I mean, when you think about it in context, we're bigger than most national home builders. Like we are larger than most national home builders in a one area. I'm not saying we have as much inventory as they do in all 50 states, but like in a yes. Yeah. You think about the number of units that we are doing, our buying power to do something is significantly less than the homeowner that has sold one house in their lifetime, or this is the first time they're selling a house. Like a homeowner going and navigating contractors and, the right materials and taking all that risk. They don't have the experience or the economies of scale that we do. So we can drive those costs down to a totally different level than the homeowner does because we have way more leverage, right? And so we're able to save cost on all these little things, and all these little things, as you know, add up to very big things, right? When you're doing it at scale. And so the question is kind of what I said with the risk piece of it. Does the homeowner want to take the risk of managing contractors and deciding, did they get the right materials and did they buy the right materials? And is there materials that they need in stock? And when is it getting done? Or if the subcontractors or contractors don't show up, like, are they in a position to hold them accountable? Are they running on a tight deadline? See, like we've built infrastructure and we have that, we have the economies of scale to dial that all in. And so that's how we're able to get so aggressive on the offers that we give to homeowners, because we drive those costs down because of the scale that we have.
Yeah. So you got into the business in 2009 following the housing crash, right? You talk a little bit about that in your book and how you were sort of in, I thought that part was actually very interesting, how you kind of came in to help sell a bunch of the distressed houses that there were no buyers for and that had been foreclosed on. Is that right?
Yeah. Foreclosures and short sales. I think a lot of people call that bank mediated sales in the industry. I think most people outside the industry, like homeowners, would think of it as short sales and foreclosures.
So there's been this incredible run of home prices really since then. I mean, it's kind of just gone up and up and up. Obviously since COVID, there's been this incredible run. But right now you're in a position where you're going to be holding, thousands of homes, as you said. How are you de-risking that in case the housing market gets bad? Right.
So it's all about having a good underwriting process, right? So when you look at over the years since we launched the Guaranteed Cash Offer program, right? I mean, there are tens of thousands of people that request offers on their home. Like this has become one of the most popular things, especially in a declining market, to your point.
Every
right?
year or month?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of different ways to evaluate it, right? So you've got the amount of people that are coming to our website that are looking at a guaranteed cash offer is, just short of probably I would say somewhere in the range of probably 50 to 60,000 visitors are sort of looking at that program monthly, somewhere in that range. Not every single one of them says yes. Not every single one of them's ready, right? So some of that stuff varies as well, but it is a significant number. And so, but that's on us, right? That is on us to de-risk our portfolio. and this is back to what I was saying earlier, which is like, do they want us to take the risk or do they want to take the risk? So the same way that you're saying like, hey, yeah, you're right. I mean, what goes up must come down, right? I mean, so since I started, most of the real estate in the inventory, if you really think about it, has really appreciated most of that time. And now you're starting to see the last several months, there was no appreciation in most areas. Right. And I think a lot of areas are buyers markets and not sellers markets. So I think everyone kind of knows it's changing, but that's our job from an underwriting standpoint to make sure that we have a healthy portfolio. And we run, I mean, what do you think about like our model in our brands? I mean, we run pretty close to like how a bank would. Right. And so we have an entire analyst team that is evaluating properties all day long. You think about mortgages, right? And the way that banks think about mortgages and how much down payment a buyer has to put down and how they think about risk of a mortgage. It's the same way that we think about houses with our underwriting team. So we have a heavy emphasis on that. And I think the advantage is that we know the open market in real time. Like we're really well aware of the market because of, our brand and how, large we are. So we have a really good idea and we can communicate that to consumers quickly. And then also our underwriting team knows exactly where we're at. And so the reason why the Guaranteed Cash Offer program is really for people that want to move fast is because that allows us to give the most aggressive offer because if we're on a tighter time frame, we have a good idea of what the market is. When you start getting to homeowners are like, well, I might sell this year, I might sell next year. A Guaranteed Cash Offer probably isn't the right fit yet. Right. And so until they're in a position where they're like, hey, I'm ready to go, I'm ready to get to that next chapter. So we tend to try to be a little bit more aggressive with our timelines because that's part of the underwriting process. And so like, it's like anything, like, if you're thinking about selling in 12 months, like it's likely a Guaranteed Cash Offer isn't for you today. Yeah. Right. And that's okay. Like, I mean, that's okay. Not every program is for every person in every moment.
So you almost need like a full hedge on the housing market as a whole. Are there financial products that you guys look at for that? Like what are you doing to just de-risk that whole portfolio really specifically?
Yeah, great. I mean, great question. The de-risking comes in the underwriting, right? So it comes in the underwriting. So in real estate or a lot of products, it really comes down to how you acquire it. Right. And so as long as we stay sharp in understanding the market and understanding the economic conditions and real estate conditions, like we're going to be in a really good spot. But like I shared earlier, like we've lost on a lot of properties because the market is getting worse than we thought. I mean, I think anyone that saw think about the economy in general earlier this year. I mean, things seem to be on a little bit better a path. And now this has nothing to do with real estate. And then once sort of some of the global things started happening, it feels like a lot of industries are saying like all of a sudden that just came to a screeching halt, right? Things really slowed down. And then you look at like everything's been on the rise. I mean, and even things like, I mean, on the open market side of like the buyers, I mean, savings is back to nearly an all-time low again, right? And debts, consumer debts through the roof. I mean, you're right. There are a lot of things that are risky. And that's why you're seeing more and more homeowners push that risk onto us. It's really the perfect time for us because of course we can do the open market strategy. I mean, we're really great at marketing and people know that we're great at marketing. We're just finding less and less people that really want to go all in and take that gamble right now.
So, 2010s, we saw this big run up in the urban residential real estate market. The 2020s, there's this huge boom in ex-urban and like cabin-y type markets. What do you think is the next place that's going to really pop? And as you're looking, 5-10 years out in Minnesota, where are you looking at areas that you think the trend lines are really good for?
I think the only thing that's going to matter is home affordability. I really do. I think right now, for a lot of people, and I'm super empathetic and sympathetic to it, it's really hard to live. Right. It is getting really challenging for people to make it. I mean, you look at some of the stats around, I mean, this is all information that someone could go online and type it into a mortgage calculator, but you look at how much household income is needed to afford a first time home today. And depending on where rates are on the day, I mean, it could be 130 to 140,000, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit higher. I mean, that's crazy. Right. And then you look at median income and you're in the 70s range, and in most reports that come out, I mean that math doesn't work.
It just is going to break.
It's going to break, right? And so there's going to be pressure on home affordability, like more so than we've seen before. And the challenge is like that, when you get closer in to major metros, there's not a lot of land available. right? And so what happens? There has to be pressure on home prices, right? Even if rates come down, there simply you have to get to a point where the payment is attainable for the open market buyer, right? And that's breaking. That is breaking. This is why every year you see the number of home sales that are sold go, down significantly. I mean, you look at even back to like 2021 to where we're at today. I mean, depending on what area you're looking at, you're somewhere between 50 to 60% of inventory closed down.
Yeah.
Right. From just in that short amount of time.
Right.
But that's, but obviously historical low interest rates. Some people had a 2, some people had a 3 in it. Even some on the late side of it got a 4. But, people were, buying things where their activity was going crazy. Well, those days are long gone. I mean, I think you listen to anyone, any economic, really any economic studies that are out there, I don't think anyone thinks that those historically low interest rates will ever come back again. And you look at the chart over the lifetime of sort of how they've been managing and monitoring interest rates, we never hit those numbers. That was the only time ever in history. But now you've got such an interesting thing because you've got inflation that's way hotter than most of the reports that are out there. I mean, go to the grocery store, look at your property insurance, your health insurance, your gas. I mean, everywhere you turn around, things are more expensive. It is all going to be about home affordability. The only thing that we can see is that prices are going to have to come down, right? I mean, and you look at it, and there used to be, of course, there used to be all sort of, you think about the rule of 7s, and that was always a big theory and things. And like, we're way past 7 years on any of this. To your point, like 2009, I mean, and now here we are. Right. I mean, we are overdue for a reset and a correction. And I think that's where we're seeing like a lot of the smart sellers are like, I'm not equipped to do this. Yeah. Like, I'm not equipped to navigate this type of changing landscape and get all these things ready. And then on top of it, you have a overconsumption issue basically across our country in most cases, right? Where people collect a lot of things. And then there's this like other piece of it, which is like the endowment effect of like, these are my memories, these are my photos, these are all the things, and I don't want to get rid of it, and I want to have this. And then pretty soon, like that one area turns into the next area. Pretty soon you're like looking like, well, how did this basement get completely full? And I understand, like, I have the way we live and the way we sell are two different things. But I'm telling you, there's some things that have to reset here. There's no way. Yeah. Like it's if you go look at any Federal Reserve, website, and you look at their reports and the dashboards of how they're reporting some of these indicators, like, they're alarming. Yeah. They're really alarming.
So you think there's going to be some sort of economic correction or crash in the next how long?
Pull out a crystal ball. I mean, it's hard to say. I think there's some things that could change the outcome. I mean, I think if there's, more money in circulation, which historically has happened plenty of times, you can even see back to COVID with a lot of the stimulus stuff that came out. Look at how the debt was paid off really quick, right? So credit card debt went down, savings went up, but look at just a few years later, how much that's flipped already. Yeah. Right. So like there's Band-Aids that you could put in place, but fundamentally, people are in a position where they're spending more money than they're making, right? And majority. I mean, obviously you have the super, the super, rich people they're impacted, but not to the same level. You've heard a lot of, people say that there's a K-shaped economy, and there's like a lot of different things going on around that. But I think in general, more and more people are having a hard time affording to live. And what's scary when you really think about it is that recently it's been the gas prices have been more of the conversation. Like the change in gas prices has hurt a lot of people. And I think that the thing for a lot of people that are tuning in and listening to this is like, are there that many people that are that close to the edge that the gas prices are tipping them over? Right? That's scary and alarming.
Going from 100 to 150 a tank is brutal if you're like right on the edge.
Right. You're right on the edge. And so when you look at the reports, you can see that, and I think, it's interesting. I had an interview on one of the news stations recently, and I think it was the first time the last several years I've been explaining and educating a lot of people, like, these times are coming. Like, right. And I think there were some people that are skeptical, like, oh, he's saying that because he has a guaranteed cash offer program. And you have people that are just highly skeptical. But the reality is we have a ton of people that come to us for the open market strategy in the retail side, right? So it's not like we have one program. We believe in options, present options to consumer and allow them to decide. In this type of market, more and more people are choosing guaranteed cash offer, but it's not like we're driving, we're in the wheel deciding which route homeowners are going. They get to decide where they go.
Yeah.
And I think as we look at what is going on in the world today, I shared some of this on the news, and it was the first time where I would say almost every single person said, he's right. He's right. Like this is happening. I mean, I think it's like you and I, like most of the stuff we're talking about here is like, I mean, these are numbers, right? I mean, this is widely available information that you can see, right? So there isn't really anything I'm sharing today that is like, oh my gosh, like I had no idea. Mm-hmm. But how do you fix that? Yeah. Right. We're years and years and years and years and years, maybe if not decades into, like, how do you fix this?
Right.
Right. And so you've had this run up of appreciation, and now you're starting to see that, like, if the open market buyer can't afford what is happening, prices have to come down.
Yeah. But if you thought there was going to be a large scale market correction, why wouldn't you just wait and then be more aggressive with buying homes at that point?
Because when you offer a program like we do, you're going to have highs and you're going to have lows. Right. So we've made a commitment we believe fundamentally that this is a strategy that homeowners love and an offer that we should have out there.
So it's worth it to kind of eat some losses for a little bit.
You're going to. I mean, this is like anything. Like in business, you have highs and you have lows. And like, you know, when you're in your lows, you have to find different ways to make it work. But listen, if I created the marketing strategy that we created and I said, oh, well, we're only going to buy when the times are good, or where we think things are going to be great. Like that's not a commitment to innovating in industry. Listen, I put it out there. We made a commitment. We're all in. This is a service we provide to homeowners. We're going to win some and we're going to lose some. And this strategy works for homeowners that want to transfer the risk to us, and we're going to be exposed. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we're going to win and sometimes we're going to lose. Some homeowners are going to go like, I wish I would have on the open market. Most are going to go, I'm glad they took the risk.
Yeah.
Right. Because like where we're going to do well is we're going to negotiate with the materials and all those little costs that homeowners just don't have the experience, the bandwidth, or the economies of scale to do. And they go, hey, you can do this way better. Like, we don't want to manage people swinging hammers here, or we don't want to have people trashing out the house, or, you know, decluttering it, or doing this, or like all the other things that go with it. And so that's where we're going to win. So it's a little bit less of like, what is the market doing? We can only control what we can control, and we can control the cost that we have to invest in the property to get it to a position where we decide what we're going to do with it.
So digging in a little bit more to your business, you know, you have 35 different companies within what seems to be like this vertically integrated real estate empire, sort of. Can you talk a little bit about, you know, tell me about how you created the second one of those and what some of the services that you provide within each of those companies, like how they all fit together.
Yeah. So obviously, at the size that we're at, like, you know, we have a very complex entity structure, right? So actually most businesses that are at our size or bigger do have a complex strategy. I think most people just aren't aware of that. But essentially you have this spoke and hub strategy. Right. So the hub is like the arms out brand, Kris Lindahl. Like, people are like, I want to do business with them. They come in, and depending on the options and the routes is going to determine which route they go. Right. And that's how you decide in this entire thing. And then also you have like this one-stop shop type thing. So, you know, we have our title company. So the title company, you know, which creates a better experience for the consumer, because it's like, okay, like we've got that dialed in. We've got a partnership there. We understand how that works. Like, you know, we have partnerships in every piece of the sort of the transaction. And so what I found early on is that, back to that convenience piece, is people just want the peace of mind that things are going to be taken care of for them. This is super complex. You know, the average buyer buys a house every 10 plus years, and sellers, that's even increasing in most places more than that. They don't have the bandwidth to deal with any of this, and they don't want to. Right? They want to go in and have a turnkey solution of like, here are the options, pick the one that makes the most sense to you. You know, I want to decrease like the stress level, and I want to move on and get to the next chapter of my life. And so that's why that has become what it's become, is because every time that we learn at a kitchen table around something that is causing a pain point, like we go and we essentially like we integrate that into our business, right? So we're really after this consumer experience of making it super easy, you know, de-risking it, making it highly convenient. And that's what we've been after since day one.
So, title companies and staging companies, are you getting there through just starting them from scratch? Or are you making any acquisitions?
So great question. So everything up until this point has been done from, we've started from the ground up.
Okay.
We are looking at a lot more acquisitions than we ever have before. There are a lot of things at this point, like we are growing at a rapid pace. Obviously, I think everyone can see that from our marketing and everything else everywhere. And there are certain things that we would like to add to sort of our business suite that I don't believe we have the time to start from the ground up at this point. And I think consumers are getting a bit uneasy with the market. And so we're starting to see even more flow come our direction. And so the more that we can add things in that makes their life easier, the better it's going to be. And I think that's where people get a little lost in business, is they lose focus of their customer and that they're the North Star. And so just listening to what they're saying and what's important to them, and observing what's going on in the world, and trying to consistently innovate and make things better and easier is in our world, things are getting so complicated, right? I mean, there's so much being thrown at everyone. I mean, from the phones and the devices and all the things, everyone's so distracted. Their attention span is low. They just want to move on and be done. And so we're just looking for ways to make things easier, and we're just pushing on that as much as we can.
So what percentage of your expenses are this huge marketing operation, and how has that shifted since you kind of launched the big billboard strategy?
Yeah. So, marketing is one of our top expenses. Obviously, I think everyone would know that. I think the two major ones, I think it wouldn't be a surprise to anyone, is payroll, right? And marketing are the top two, right? And so, the reason why we continue to invest in marketing, there's a couple reasons. One is people would think, you're absolutely crazy to be investing the level of marketing you're investing in this type of real estate and market that is, pretty poor, right?
How much are you investing?
That's a great question. A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot. We get that question all the time. And it changes. It's a very dynamic thing. We continue to add more and more and more.
Like tens of millions?
If you look, most people have a general, you could go on any Google or AI and you could start asking questions around how much billboards or radio or TV costs. And I think in today's world, you get pretty accurate information. Okay. You start timesing that by the amount of times you hear and see us, it's a significant amount. And so the reason why we continue to invest there is because we have essentially, nearly 20 years in this business. We've created a brand that other real estate companies can't compete with, right? Even if they decided today, hey, we're going to start marketing and branding, we're nearly 20 years ahead. And I think a lot of consumers know that. And so I think a big part of our strategy is not only is it, listen, do we need more branding at this point, or do we need more awareness so people know who we are? No, we don't, right? But creating more education and creating more awareness to, what's going on in the world and what solutions potentially, that we have that we could help serve someone is a big part of it. Now, I will tell you, there's something that I haven't said before, but it's a little bit of a selfish piece of it, but I'll just share it because it's on my heart a bit. I love increasing marketing, sharing the stories of the homeowners we worked with. That's the coach and the teacher in me. Mm-hmm. I love sharing their stories. That, and what people don't get to see from, the shorter TV commercials or the videos or the social media is they don't get to hear all the things that one of our programs helped them with. Right. So I get to hear the stories of how our team was, how it was super impactful in a time where they really needed us, or they were in a position where they really couldn't go on the open market, either life-changing events or risk or whatever it may have been. I get to hear all those stories when I get to go meet them. Mm-hmm. And so I love it. And so, yeah, we are continuing to increase and share those stories because we basically take those homeowners and make them the hero in the journey, because that's what they are. They without customers, without homeowners, without home buyers, we don't have a business. Right. And so the more that we can share that, the more that we can highlight them, I love it. That's just a testament to the work that we're doing. And I would tell you, early on, everyone was very skeptical of launching a massive scaled operation like ours of trading in your house. Right. Where's the money coming from? How's this going to work? This doesn't make sense. It doesn't pencil. It doesn't add up. Blah, 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 all the other things that have been out there. But now people seeing so many homeowners, real people, real stories. I'm not hiring any actors. These are the real homeowners that took the offers, that are standing with the red checks, that closed and got their fresh start. the skepticism has decreased significantly. Right. It just changed. Like it changed because you can no longer argue the success of the program because people are seeing people that look and sound just like them that are having massive success that are like, just skip it all. I mean, I had one the other day. I'll give you an example. She's like, there were 4 open houses this weekend on my block. None of the houses have sold in the last several months. Like we're looking at going like, do you want to go through that? Right. And it was a couple, husband and wife, like, no, we want nothing to do with any of that. Like, can we just hit the easy button and move on? So I got to sit in the driveway, and have a conversation, and obviously had some fun, and we held up the big red check. And I think by the time this goes live, you'll see the new spot out all over the place. But it was fun to hear the story. I'm like, okay, this is someone that gets it. This is a smart seller. It's like, there are 4 for sale on the open market. What's going to make mine stand out? Right. And so then when we take the risk on it, we have to figure out what do we have to invest in this property from a strategy, from a resource standpoint to stand out against the other 4. And of course, being that we know marketing so well and we understand the market so well, like we can reverse engineer after we acquire that property and we can make our property better than those other 4. Whereas think about it. The other 4 houses that are for sale on that block that are trying to do open houses the old fashioned way every single weekend, who's going to win? The company that sold tens of thousands of houses and billions of dollars in real estate and understands marketing inside and out, or the 4 houses that are on the block that are doing open houses every weekend and maybe doing a couple price reductions, right? So there's that's the piece that and the marketing side of it that I love is like sharing more of those stories,
right? So it makes sense to me, now you guys have a lot of cash flowing through the business. Totally makes sense how the marketing feeds into the business. But, there's this moment early on where you have to make this huge investment in marketing that,
Right.
You have to make the investment before you see the return.
Yeah.
And at the same time, as you're launching a guaranteed cash offer program, you have to put a bunch of cash on the table.
Right.
So like, how did you decide to make that leap and how did you justify those expenses? Where did the money come from?
Yeah.
Like, tell me about that moment.
Yeah. I love that you asked that question because I think that's probably what a lot of people are wondering.
Mhm.
Right. And so when you look back at the beginning, I think what gets totally lost in context here, a lot of people like think billboards were the strategy that elevated the things.
Yeah.
But what people forget is all of the other things. And you read my books.
Mhm.
You can, the SEO to the signs, to
Right.
the digital strategies way back in the day and the towers and that and writing books and like all of those things. What I think people get lost, they get lost in translation. They just don't know. I was selling a massive amount of real estate by myself.
Right.
And I was reinvesting all of those dollars in the early days. And so every year I continued to invest. I mean, if you ask anyone that knows me, like I am not a big flashy like type person. Like I truly am from Fridley, went to college, graduated Mankato. Like I'm a teacher at heart. Like I reinvest back into the business so that I can make a positive impact for our employees, for our agents, for our community, for homeowners, for home buyers. Like my purpose is to help positively impact people. That truly is what it is.
Mhm.
So I'm not driving around in some fancy your race cars or living in fancy properties and traveling all over the place with private jets. Like none of that. I'm reinvesting back in the business to create core products that I believe are the right thing for consumers. And so when you look back over time, you think about nearly 20 years. I mean, I was the number 1 agent in the state individually, right? I was selling hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of houses over those years, right? I mean, that's a massive amount of houses. Anyone that can do math
Right.
on the level of income that was coming in, I just simply decided I'm going to reinvest it because I believed in the consumer. I believed in our ability to create a brand, to do things different and innovate. And so like when people ask, where's the money come from? Like I worked my freaking ass off. I really did. Like, I mean, 7 days a week, like for years and years and years around the clock. No joke, around the clock. Totally obsessive. Like everything I had, every ounce of energy, even the days I wanted to quit, I woke up and kept going. And the reason why I did is because I knew that we were on the path of something bigger. And I think people always want to, I think in life, you want to point the finger of like, oh, where's it coming from? What's going on here? This doesn't make sense.
Mhm.
No one wants to say hard work.
Yeah.
Right. And I think in our society, everyone wants to go like, where was the easy way? Why did he just cheat this system, cheat this person, do this, do that? That's what most of humans are. We're consumed with this on social media of like, they must have took a shortcut somewhere to get here. Something's not adding up to me. But if you would have saw the 10 plus years of 7 days a week around the clock, you were like, no, that guy worked harder than anyone I've ever seen. And I still do. Like, I'm still obsessed and I am nonstop. You ask anyone that works with me, I am relentlessly trying to solve problems for consumers at a crazy level that most people aren't willing to do. And that's why we're at where we're at. Right. And I think when I look at business and I see companies, The most successful companies, like the work ethic and drive is insanely high. They didn't just stumble into some lucky thing where like, oh, someone gave me some money or I got some money or I did. No, like you want to unpack most companies. First off, I'll tell you, they have to have the greatest people, which we do. Like this isn't the Kris show at all. Like at all. Like our leadership team, our employees, our agents, our staff, like our community that supports us, we literally have the best people. Truly, that's not some cliche thing. We have the best people. That's how we got here. Like, and I was fortunate enough to have a lot of support when I was first starting out. I being locally from here, people love, supporting local companies, local people. Like I had so many people that were huge supporters of mine early on when I needed it. And they still are today. I mean, I have friends that have used us so many times throughout the years, and I'm so grateful for all of them. None of this would be here without them. Right. And I think the people aspect of it gets lost for a lot of people. They go, oftentimes like, well, how are you buying all these houses and where the money's come from? It's like, listen, we have great people. Like we have a strategy that works. And I worked my tail off and I reinvested everything because I believed in what we were doing. And we still reinvest every single day to do that same thing. And I'm not driven by money. I'm driven by impact. And so I think people that have a big personal brand like mine, that there must be some major ego and he must be so overly confident. He must love looking at himself and he must look in the media, all the things. The people that are close to me that know me, they know that's not true. And I'm at a position now where I don't have to defend myself. I don't owe anything to anyone else. Like if they want to think that, that's fine. But the people that know me, they know. They know what I'm after. They know what we're after. And I think that's a piece that, earlier you asked the question around for people that are on kind of the cusp of that personal brand, you have to tune out the noise and you have to stay focused on your mission. And not everyone's going to believe in it and not everyone's going to buy into it. And that's okay. Like there's room for everyone. But I think what is getting a lot of attention now is that more and more people are coming our direction. Right. Mm-hmm. And I think obviously there's a little luck, right? The economy, the market, some of that stuff, like you get those breaks, right? When you do the hard work and you put yourself out there, there are breaks that you get along the way.
Who do you look at or admire when you're trying to look for examples of how to build a business?
Yeah, that's a great question. Finding mentors is hard, right? In each season that you go through, it gets more and more challenging because like every season of growth that you have new challenges. Like you're seeing things that you've never seen before. Like, I mean, when I started in 2009, I had zero business experience, none. Like this is all self-taught. This is, me having such a high desire to learn and grow, be the best version of myself, be the best leader that I can be the best founder, CEO that I can be. Like I have this obsessive personality of like, I want to learn, I want to grow. That's the teacher in me. That's the coach in me. Like, I just want to improve. I want to be better. And what I learned early on is that if I'm not bettering myself, if I'm not investing in myself, if I'm not getting better myself, it's impossible to have other people, for me, it's impossible to have other people, hold them accountable to wanting to be better when you're not showing up the best you could be. Right. And so that's a big piece of it for me is that I'm investing. And I think in today's world, mentorship looks different, right, than it ever did before. Like the best mentors in the world, I will tell you, are not for hire. Like they're not the coaches that are out there that haven't done anything. They don't even have a coaching business. It's the relentless entrepreneur that goes and approaches someone that doesn't have a coaching and consulting business and says, I love what you're doing. I want to learn more. I'm happy to pay you for your time. Like that's how you get in. And I've had so many of those throughout the years where I've went to someone, I'm like, I like what you're doing. Like none of them are in real estate. I mean, we're so far beyond getting any advice in real estate with the way that we're innovating. I mean, we're looking for more business, universal business type things. Like, I'm thinking like about the people, the process, the leadership, that type of stuff at tech. Those are the things that we're more after than we are like trying to innovate and trying to figure out the next real estate plan. I mean, a lot of companies come to us for that, but the smartest business leaders, owners, and entrepreneurs in the world understand the compressing time theory, that if I go write a check for valuable information, I am compressing time, which will help me get there faster. Right. And I realize I don't have all the answers, and we continue to grow and break through ceilings, and we enter sort of new seasons of growth that we've never been in before. And so I have to go out and I have to find information. I have to learn. I have to grow from people that have already been at this level of scale before. Not the same industry. It doesn't look the same, different era, but there are some principles that are universal, right? There are things that the people side of it, very similar to someone that may have done it 20 years ago. Yeah, the world's different, but people are people. We're humans, right? There are certain aspects that don't change. And the same thing with process. It's the same thing with thinking about vision and integration. And so in books, I mean, books are so readily available today. Podcasts, just like, the conversation we're at, like, are so readily available, right? More and more people listen to this. Like, even if someone today gets one nugget from it, like, there was no cost other than investing their time, right? So you think about all the things that are out there that you can have access to, social media, right? There's a lot of different ways. And I think, when I first started, like, education was different than it is today. And so it's just, do you have the time allocated for personal and professional development in your calendar? Because if it's not in your calendar, it's not going to happen. And I think that's a big piece of it. And so, like, but that's, that comes from wanting that teacher coaching, mindset that I have of wanting to be better each and every day. And my standards are so high for myself. And the standards that I have for myself, others around me have the same standards for themselves, not because I've said anything, because they've watched the way I walk.
So I want to dig in on the coaching thing, because
Yeah.
it has obviously come up a bunch. It runs all through your book. You talk in the book about a bunch of really tough stuff you went through in your childhood. You lost your dad in a really tragic accident. You talk about a bunch of sort of difficult situations with different men that are kind of in and out of your life. And then you get into a little bit about the role that sports played. Can you just tell everybody a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So there's one coach that really changed my life. His name's John Swanson. So he's still a coach today. He coaches at Fridley and he coaches at a couple other schools.
Still running the Flex?
He's still running the Flex.
Yeah, okay.
He's still running the Flex. That's so true. Yeah. He's a great friend of mine, just massive impact in my life right at the end of middle school there for me. And that really changed my life. Cause I don't know if that moment didn't happen the way that happened, I'm not sure that we would be sitting here today having this conversation about this. And it really, over the years, it really got me thinking about, what am I here for? What is this all, what is this all for? And it's impact. And so, coaches are selfless, right? I mean, I know what he makes coaching. I mean, it's not much, right? It's more than that for him. It's more than that. And so the stories along the way, I could tell you from my friends and people that I grew up with, there are so many stories that they have of him just investing in them in a time when they needed it, giving them that belief in that moment where they needed it, that confidence, right? I think oftentimes in life, like, we are just looking for someone to believe in us and to give us that confidence. And he did that for me. And it was one of the most exhilarating feelings that I've ever had, that someone finally believed in me. And not to say that I didn't have family and friends and people that invested in me along the way, but it was different. It was different because you had a coach that believed in, and this isn't just Kris's athletic ability. It's like Kris as a person, right? And I think the more that we have the opportunity to do that in life, the better it gets. I'll give you an example of this. So last week we had a high school student that reached out to me and wanted to shadow me for a day and just see what it's like to be a founder or CEO. And we spent almost the entire day having conversations, but not only with me, with other leaders inside our company, and things along the way that our leaders wish that maybe they would have done different, things that they've learned about themselves. And it was just so impactful. And I remember, I'll never forget this moment. I remember at the end of the day, and she's standing there, she goes, "This was one of the best days of my life." Right? She's like, "This is one of the best days of my life." Like, she was obviously very driven by leadership. I mean, she's in 11th grade, but I can tell you she's going to be super successful. She was very driven to reach out, to get a hold of me, to show up, to, like, just the way she was thinking about, she was prepared. She read my book. She was asking questions. Like, she was invested. She was dialed in and she wanted to learn. She wanted to grow. And I think most people that are already at that point, like, they're going to have success no matter what. But having that, hearing that from her that day, like, that's like oxygen to me, right? I love it. I live for it. And so for John, that was, that's what he did for me. And so if I can do that for more people, like, that's what I'm here for.
Yeah. A lot of young people are having a tough time right now. And I think there are a bunch of different factors behind it. It's the cost of everything going up. It's feeling like it feels more uncertain that they will have a much better life than the generations before them, right? It's social media. There's just a bunch of this stuff happening in there. And when I was going through that part of your book, I was really pondering on this idea of, you sort of persevering through all these moments and making it through and, like, finding a way through, what do you say to young people who maybe aren't as driven as the person who visited you was,
Yeah.
in who are facing adversity and don't know how to make their way through the world?
So yeah, that's a complex answer,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I think you've got a world where I think there's been an abundance of opportunities. Um, you know, and this is case by case, person by person. But I think from my observation, maybe there hasn't been as much struggle, for a lot of people as there was in the past. I hardly want to sound like the generation that's like, oh, this generation didn't have this or they had this. By no means am I trying to take that stance. I think in general, like, I don't know that there's been as much struggle. And then you have you got a couple other things. You've got, there's a book by Patrick Lencioni and it's Ideal Team Player. And sort of talks about their three sort of core values that they think about are hungry, humble, and smart. And so one of the other things is I'm not sure that we are seeing the hunger and the desire in a lot of people. I think a lot of people want better for themselves and for their life, but I don't think they're willing to do what it takes. I don't know if they have that internal desire and that drive to actually do it. So it's really easy to say it. It's really hard to do it. And so, and I think, the people that have that drive are the ones that we can help. And I see this all the time. When people reach out to us, because we hire a lot of people inside of our brands. And so when people reach out and they have that desire of I'm doing whatever, I'll do whatever it takes to be here. I want to learn from Kris. I want to learn from the leadership team. I want to grow. It doesn't matter. There are no jobs beneath me. Whatever it is, I'll start. Those people always win. It's the ones that are like, hey, I'm looking for the next work from home opportunity for 15% more than I was making at the last company that laid me off. And I'm not willing to do this and I'm not willing to do that. And there's all these parameters and guidelines and conditions before we've even talked about if there's an opportunity mutually both ways. And whereas that high desire, hunger driven person, they're always going to make it. They're always going to make it. And so I think the reflection that a lot of people are sort of coming to, and I think what you're sort of describing, which is the cost of living and some of the stuff is putting pressure on all of this, right? The kind of have a couple of side gigs and side hustles and grab a few things on the app and make a little bit of money and do this and do that and find a way to make it through. The current conditions in our world aren't going to allow that to work. Right. And I think the challenge is, I think you're seeing this with a lot of large corporations too, and a lot of companies. I think the total work from home thing, a lot of companies are sort of changing their process on that a bit.
Right.
Right. And I think as humans, I love being around other people. And I know that I'm higher performing when I'm around other people that are highly driven, that I want that community aspect of it. I think that a lot of people ended up in a little bit of isolation and thought it was better for them of oh, I get to walk the dog. I get to go to the grocery store. I get to go work out. I get to save on commute. And there are some arguments for some optimization there and for some sort of hybrid type, environment, which I'm by no means saying all in or all out, but I do think we're going to look back on those times and go, I'm not sure we got it quite right. And I think you could see that too with the way that school and education and some of those things, if you think about it, those years, a lot of people were there, whether they were in college, whether they were in high school or middle school, there was a pretty big impact on them.
Really tough.
Really tough. And so there were some times where there were some moments here where things got missed, either some development or some things that didn't land quite right. And you're seeing some of that show up now. But I do think overall, the desire, if you just have the determination and to find a way, you'll always be successful. And those are the types of people that we sort of want to move forward with. And so when we get, I get messages all day long in my, on my social media. I think in the last day, I've probably had 200 or 300 just on my Facebook alone of people that are thinking about careers. And I think as the economy starts, is getting a little bit more rocky, people are getting squeezed. And then you add in the inflationary aspect of it. People are needing to find other ways and other careers, and they're looking for growing brands and places to be. I can tell you, reading the stories of a lot of people, there's a big chunk of them, this person really doesn't want to do it. You can just tell they just don't want it. Right. And I learned this early on, and it was a tough lesson for me. You can't want it for someone more than they want it for themselves. Right. And I could always see the opportunity in people. I'm like, that person's got it, But if you don't wake up in the morning on fire, like just ready to go, like excited, like it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. And so I think getting to your passion and keeping that hunger and that drive is such a critical aspect of everything going on in the world.
What do you like to do when you're not working?
So I love to fish. Pickleball, golf, spending time with family, a lot of time with family. Yeah, I think people think that like I work 24/7, right?
You work a lot,
yeah. And I think work it's different. It doesn't, when you're passionate about it, doesn't feel like work.
Do you feel like you're ever able to really turn your work brain off?
It's an integration thing for me. Yeah. Like I never can shut my brain off. No. I mean, I'm wired this way. Like this is who I am. Like I am constantly thinking about how to be better, how to grow, how to improve. And I love it. Like I love it. Like to me, this is what I was born to do. And I'm so passionate about it that I get energy from it. And I love trying to solve complex things for consumers, for our team. Like I'm always trying to figure out how to learn and grow. Like I'm pushing myself to a higher standard each and every day. And I just believe that's the recipe to success, is find something you're passionate about and push yourself to grow each and every day.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the time.
Yes, thank you so much. This was great.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much to Keely Doyle, Gabe Noah, Mike Novak, Connor O'Neill, and Ali Alt for all of your help behind the scenes. We will see you next time.